Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Frisch. I am the new co-chair of the CCRA Zoning Committee. We just started this Zoom, and just so everyone is aware, this will be a recorded meeting. And I just wanted to get us started with a quick welcome. Welcome to the Center City Residents Association Zoning Committee meeting. We are the registered community organization, RCO, for our area. As a reminder, we review cases from South Street to JFK and Broad Street to the Schuylkill River. As always, we encourage you to get involved with our 75-year-old nonprofit civic association and become members. This will also ensure that you receive notification of all proposed zoning changes within our area. You can see our website for more details. For this evening, a quick reminder of how the committee works. First, applicants are to present. We ask applicants to address the specific refusal or referrals. We ask for no interruption as the applicants give their full presentation. Second, after the presentation, the zoning committee will have a chance to ask questions. Third, after the zoning committee's questions are completed, we will open the meeting to the community. When addressed, we ask that you state your name and address. We ask that you keep your questions succinct and to the variance being discussed. We also ask that people not repeat others' questions. If you agree with someone, you're welcome to stand or raise your hand and simply state that you agree. If there's a spokesperson for the neighbors, we ask that this person speak for the group. Finally, after we hear from all applicants and listen to the community comments, our committee meets in a closed session. We vote in 3 ways: oppose, not oppose, not oppose with provisos. Just a reminder that the CCRA never votes in favor of any application. Then our decision is emailed to the councilperson, the ZBA, the applicant, and it's also posted on the CCRA website. What's important is, no matter how we decide, if you are concerned with a project, we strongly recommend that you attend the ZBA hearing. This is the best way to make your concerns known. The CCRA Zoning Committee can't express the neighbor's point of view. Only a property owner or aggrieved individual can express their personal concerns to the ZBA. And now we can begin. We have 4 items on the agenda today. The first is a refusal, 401 South 22nd Street. And the applicant for the proposed use as multifamily household living with 8 dwelling units in an existing structure. The reason for the refusal is the minimum lot area of 360 square feet. Sorry, the reason for the refusal is Part A, the minimum lot area of 360 square feet is required per dwelling unit for the first 1,440 square feet of lot area. Part B, the minimum of a 480 square foot of lot area is required per dwelling unit for the lot area in excess of 1,440 square feet. The proposed number of dwelling units, 8, exceeds the number of units allowed based on the lot area of 2,146, which is only 5. Sorry, I went right into the first one. I realized probably maybe in more detail than we needed to. The second one is a referral, and it's 1525 Chestnut Street. Then we will go over, I made a slight shift in the agenda. We'll do 233 South 24th Street, which is again a refusal. And then we'll finish off with 261 South 24th Street. So I think we can just get started with the very first one, 401 South 22nd Street, which is the refusal for the number of dwelling units. So I would like to call on the attorney to present that case. Sam, I think you are muted and you can unmute yourself. You should be able to unmute yourself. Veronica, I'm not able to unmute.
Right, Sam, I've asked you to.
There he goes.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi. We
Hi.
are still looking for the attorney to represent us at this point. I am the applicant representing the owner, Miss Zhang Lingling, or Linda. She's at the meeting with us today.
Okay, beautiful. Would you like to speak on the behalf of the case?
Yes, of course. Basically, we are applying for the expansion of the building to the 4th floor. Currently, the building has 4 stories, with the front have being 4-story high, and the back only has 3. And what happens on the 4th floor right now? It has been vacant for many years. It appeared that the story was originally built as like a caretaker quarters, and then it was vacant for many years. So, and it has like about 6 rooms. I could show you on the plans to show the configuration and the square footage. So what we are proposed to do is to renovate this store.
I don't think we can see your screen right now.
Oh, I am opening that right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it visible now?
No, Sam, you'll need to use the share screen feature.
Yes, that's right.
It's the big green, it's a green button at the bottom of the screen.
Yes, yes. Is it good?
Yes.
Okay. So we are looking at, this is the 4th floor. It's about a little more than 2/3 of the stories below. And this is the roof of the 3rd floor. As we can see, it has about 6 rooms here, and it's been vacant for many years. So what we propose to do is to expand the full story to the back, as the floors below same size, and then we have front and back proposed to divide into 2 units as the floors below, and the front unit has 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, kitchen, living, and dining spaces, and the back unit has 2 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms, living, kitchen, and dining spaces. And on the roof, we propose to have roof decks for the new units to access. This square footage, the existing 4th floor has where's my square footage? Oh yes, almost 1,000 square feet is 986 square feet, and then we propose to add almost 450 square feet. And we are being refused because the lack of yard space. But we already have the 4th floor. We just need to renovate and expand the available roof to make it work. and I'll show other site plan and bird's eye view that show the expansion does not affect the neighbor's sun or view or any other obstruction.
Yes, sorry, Sam, to cut you short, but I believe that the refusal is for the number of dwelling units and the size is not the issue.
Right, right.
Was that, you want to speak to that?
Yes, basically it's the as you said earlier, it's the lack of yard space. If we have a larger lot size, larger open space, then we wouldn't have to come here today. So this is the building and the existing 2/3 is that.
Yeah, so I see the reason for the refusal as just the minimum, the lot area has to be divided. Each dwelling unit has to be a minimum size. And this is, you are asking for more dwelling units than the size allows.
Yeah, it's affected by the lot square footage. So we are not like taking up more of what the yard we have right now. We just build on what we have existing.
Okay. And you are building on that, and I think what I was reading is that you are trying to divide it into 8 units, but the zoning code allows for it to be divided into 5 units.
The
area.
zoning code calculation by the lot square footage calculated more than 5 units. The existing building has 6 units.
The existing building has 6 units and you're proposing to change it to 8.
Right, that's correct.
Okay. And okay. And you think that this is necessary that it be 8 dwelling units instead of 6 or 5?
Right.
What is the reasoning?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
The reasoning for, so what you're asking for refusal, so just asking to demonstrate why the community should accept the change to go from the 5 that's allowable by the area to the 8 that you're proposing.
Yeah, because when we expand and renovated the floor, it's not going to affect, I guess, anybody or the community. And when I talk to the neighbors, have them sign the letter, most of them said we needed more living spaces. And the a few concerns were construction noises, and that is like temporary, for the construction during the construction months maybe, and that after that won't be an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Do you have anything else?
Does everybody have questions? I can answer questions.
Yeah, I think first I would call on the committee members. If anybody from the committee has anything to say. Robin, sorry, Charles.
I would like to ask, is the property presently a 3-story or 4-story presently?
Presently, it's already 4-story.
The 4-story, and you have an existing 5 units, is that correct?
6.
And I know there's a building code, not a zoning question, but you're a 4-story. Do you have a sprinkler system or fire escapes?
We will install both. We are actually planning to renovate the entire building, so it gets upgrade all up to current code.
How many roof decks are you proposing?
2 for the 2 new units.
Can you describe the basement?
Oh, the basement, actually, I have it's like a section of the building. I can show. Let me just open this. Yeah, this is a building section cut across the building. On the right is the front. The basement we are actually proposing to be used as part of the first floor front unit. So the floor will be raised up about 2 feet. Right now it's almost 7 feet. So by the time it's modified, it would have a 9 feet high ceiling in the basement. That's the front. We are not doing anything to the back. The back 1/3 probably is the crawl space, and the middle 1/3 we're gonna keep as like storage.
The reason why I ask about the basement is that once you go above 6 units or 8 units, you have to have private trash removal. Where are you going to have your tenants place the trash, and how's the private hauler going to remove the trash?
That need to be worked out.
And I don't see the fire escape.
Oh, yeah, this is the planned fire escape to the side of the building.
Okay, so as of right now, you don't have any means of having all tenants place trash in a trash area, and you do not have the means of having a private hauler remove it.
Not at the moment, no. We're gonna look into that. Definitely have to be addressed.
Okay, I think next I'll just go through some of the other committee members and just call on them by name. Next up, Ben Weintraub, do you have any comments? Robin, any comments?
No comments.
Doug?
Yeah, I'm curious what the hardship is.
Again, the hardship is, well, we don't have the required lot space. It's just that we got the refusal. If we have a bigger lot, then it won't be refused.
I have a question. This is Molly.
Yes.
Why has no one been?
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm co-chair
First we're
Veronica
doing
Aplenc.
Yeah. First,
the
we're gonna be
committee.
doing the committee first, and then we'll open it to the public, and then and that will be just in a few minutes, and then you can. ask
Got
some
it. My
questions.
bad. I didn't realize Doug was
No
part of the
worries.
committee.
No worries. All right, sorry, we're still on the committee. We've gone through about 4 people. Doug, was that it all?
Hello.
Rebecca, I have a comment or question. Or Ben, I'll defer to you. Go-
Yeah, let's let other Ben go first. Sorry,
Okay.
second
Uh,
committee. Ben.
Are you planning essentially to renovate the entire building?
Yes, sir. Yes, that's exactly the plan. We're going to make it very modern with all the modern utilities, equipments, including all new central AC, kitchens, bathrooms, you name it. Pretty much everything new.
So if you don't get the relief you're requesting, will you retain the 6 units that are there now?
Yes, we will, but we would like to do the expansion and make the investment more worthwhile.
And have you had any input, any negative input from any neighbors?
So far, I just heard several saying the construction noise would be a concern for them. But
Has anybody objected to the number of units you are proposing?
No, actually, more neighbors saying they prefer to have more units because they like to see the up-to-date apartments available to them.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, Bob, from the committee.
Sam, hi.
Hi.
So your building is one of several similar buildings on 22nd Street. And the zoning code, carefully thought out, has determined what the density should be, how many units should be in those buildings based on their size and open area. Why is your property different? What is unique about your property that you should have more units than all those other buildings on the block?
Well, this building appeared to have a bigger footprint and also more stories.
They're all the same. They're all the same.
Not quite. When I look at the photos or the bird's eye view, this the unit next door, I think is what, 403, only have the small the front higher, 4-story, and the back, the whole about 2/3 is only 3 stories, and here we have about 1/3 already 4-story, and I could not tell the next one. 405 is 3-story or 4-story. It appeared to be 3-story in the back too. So we have right there is already bigger, and look at the building is deeper. From front to back is the longest. The other ones are shorter and shorter.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Laura, do you have anything?
Are these fire escapes, which are on the diagram that you've shown on the, are they already on the building, or are you?
No, it's actually gonna be installed when we have to meet the building code. At the 4th floor, need to have 2 access of egress. So we have to have a fire escape for the 4th floor, in addition to the daily access stair.
Right, thank you. I have no other question.
Right.
Charles, I'm sorry, you already went. Stephen?
No, my questions have been asked already. Thank you very much.
Great. Wade? Do you have any questions? Okay.
Yes, real fast. I don't know if I missed this. Did we go over the square footage of what the units are proposed to be?
Yes, let me go to my plans. Okay. So the 4th floor new units, the front would have 656 square foot. So
Okay.
from here, like right in the middle of the just at the drop, there's a kitchen separating the front and the back, and the back unit has 688 square feet. So it's bigger in the back. That's why it has 2 bathrooms. The front has only 1.
So that's the first 2 units.
This is the 4th floor, the proposed new units. On the from 1st to 3rd floor, except the 1st floor front, it would be like double because we are utilizing the basement. So it's more than like 1,200 square feet for the 1st floor front.
And so are there no other changes to the units on any other floor? Is it only the 4th floor?
We are changing them to upgrade and make them more functional.
Okay, what about the size? Are the size of the units on the other floors going to remain the same?
Yeah, we are being limited by the perimeters.
Okay, so you're not adding any units to any other floor?
No. All from 1st floor to 3rd floor remain the same, except the 1st floor front unit, adding the basement.
Okay.
Are you taking the 1st floor that was retail and making it residential?
Sorry?
Are you taking, are you adding a residential unit to the 1st floor?
No. It's like incorporating the front basement. So the basement of the front and the 1st floor in the front becoming bigger, like double the size, and it has a stair, interior stair to access.
I don't have any
Okay.
further.
Okay. All right, so you're keeping all the unit sizes the same as they are today, and then you're
Right.
adding more, and it's putting you over. Okay.
Yes.
Andre, do you have any questions?
Is the plan for the new units to make them affordable? Like, what will be the affordability of them essentially?
Sorry, affordable?
Will the new units be affordable to an average Philadelphian?
I think at this point they are like market rates. If required by what the city, we can make it affordable.
Okay, so they're market rate units.
Yeah, right now it's planning as market price. Market.
Do you plan to renovate? Do you plan to renovate any of the other units in the building?
we renovated entire building.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much do you expect the rent for these to be, more or less?
That I'm not sure. Maybe the owner, Miss Zhang, can tell you more about the current rental price.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
We can
you.
discuss that later.
Veronica, do you have anything to add?
Thank you. Sure, thank you. So
Yeah.
hi, Sam. Thank you for your
Hi.
presentation. So to confirm, you're proposing to add 2 new units on the 4th floor.
Yes.
This first front unit, is it already linked to the basement?
Right now the basement is being used as common area for utilities, and also laundry, as well as storage.
So you're proposing to add 2 new units on the 1st floor and to expand the 1st floor front unit, is that right?
Below the 3rd floor, we are not adding any more units. It's just the 1st floor front
Right.
being
I'm showing us that
incorporated with the
plan.
basement. Sorry.
Maybe scroll to that first floor plan quickly.
1st floor plan. I don't have the
Oh, you
first
only
floor
have a
plan.
you only have a 4th floor. Okay, sorry about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, so so basically you will be expanding the 1st floor front unit.
Right, but not in terms of number of units. It's just
Right, just
yeah.
square footage.
Right.
Yeah, thanks. I had 2 other questions. If I understood correctly, the building is zoned for 5 units and you currently have 6 units in the building, is that right?
When they calculate the lot area, it turned out the current code is allowed for 5, yes. But consider this building is what, more than 100 years old, and they were built like that long before the current build, the zoning code.
Understood. Thanks, Sam. Just a final question. Who is your architect?
Me.
You're the architect.
I'm the architect.
Great. Thank you, Sam. I have no
But
further questions.
I just want to dovetail on the last question. What does your housing license say? Does your housing license stipulate 5 units, or does your housing license say 6 units?
Right now it's 6.
Your housing license stipulates 6.
Yes.
Okay, great. And sorry, Doug, I see that your hand is raised. Did you have another question?
Yes, are existing tenants there now?
Yeah, they all 6 units are occupied.
So did I misunderstand you? I thought you said that you were going to take about a month to renovate.
Oh no, it's gonna be much longer than that.
Sure, okay, I
Maybe
misunderstood
6
that.
months. Yeah.
So what are you going to tell the 6 renters now?
We're gonna have to arrange the lease so that when the building permit becomes available, then the building need to be vacated.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sam. I think that takes care of everybody from the committee. Did I forget anybody? All right, I think I'll start with the community, the neighbors. Molly, would you like to go ahead and get us started?
Yeah, I have a few questions. You're saying right now there are 6 tenants in the building?
Yes.
The 4th floor is now occupied?
No, it's vacant. It's been like original construction. There are like wallpaper that was as old as the building.
So where are the 6 tenants right now?
Each floor, first, second, and third floor all have 2 units, front and back.
Okay, so why has no one been on the 4th floor to this date?
Oh, yeah, again, the 4th story was built for the caretaker's quarters, as I understood it. And when the original owner moved out or sold the property, it was vacant since.
So it hasn't been occupied since 1991, I learned.
Probably longer than that. Let me show you some pictures.
That's okay. 1991 is close enough. That's fine.
Can I jump in real fast? Just for members of the community who have something to say or some questions, before you speak, and I'm going to ask Molly to provide this information, can you tell us what your address is?
Sure, I live on South Van Pelt Street.
Okay.
And just building on that, we are asked to also ask if you present your first name and last name, and this is for the record. Thank you.
Absolutely. My name is Molly Lale. Live at 408 South Van Pelt Street. How long have you, I was curious how long you've owned the property?
Ms. Zhang owns it. I think it's just the beginning of the year.
Beginning of 22?
Yes.
And what is your relationship to her?
I'm the architect and also the applicant.
Molly, this is Bob Lane. I'm one of the committee members. If you could keep your questions and comments strictly to the zoning aspects and not getting into the personal relationships, I think we'll move along a lot quicker. Thank you.
Sure. I think that the amount of time for the renovation has been understated initially. I'm very concerned about renters, considering that already there are renters there and things have not been taken care of. Trash removal. The property is deteriorated. The decks, as you know, as tenants don't take care of properties as well as homeowners. And we've had some bad activity with the deck that was built on 21, I believe it is 32 Pine Street.
Okay, thank you, Molly. All right. I think that we should move on to the next neighbor who has something to say. I see CJ, could you state your name and address, please, for the group? Veronica, I think you might need to unmute.
CJ, you're muted.
I don't have the possibility of muting him. CJ, I have enabled the feature asking you.
Thank you. Thank you. For the record, my name is CJ Walsh, W-A-L-S-H. I live at 2134 Pine Street, and I speak on behalf of 5 owners at 2134 Pine Street. Our opposition to the applicant is the fact that there are already 6 units when the building is owned for 5, that there is no place for private trash pickup. We are concerned about the fire escapes. We are also concerned about the roof decks, given the extra space that the zoning board offered to 2132 Pine during the pandemic. And we are concerned that the basement, which is currently unfinished and a storage / bike / laundry / catch-all room, will be added to a building unit. We also have concerns with the current tenants and their activity. They have not been the best neighbors. As the block captain and committee person, a lot of that falls on me to deal with and police. So that's the opposition from the 2134 Pine neighbors. Our front door is on 22nd Street.
Thank you, CJ. Rebecca, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, I see another hand. Earl, would you like to state your full name and your address, please?
Yes, thank you. This is Earl Marsh. I guess I better turn my volume down here. And I live at 2130 Pine Street. My concern is very similar to the concerns CJ has raised. If the building is zoned for 5 and they now want 8 units, that's a massive density increase over the existing, and the units are not small. The external fire escapes, it's hard to believe that Philadelphia still allows those, but I guess that they do. And the roof decks which would essentially be on the 5th floor. My experience with other roof decks nearby that are on the 5th floor is that when someone is up there, I can hear them through closed windows on the 3rd floor of my house. The roof decks on 401 South 22nd Street will be even closer. You know, the fact that the owner is claiming a hardship because the 4th floor is vacant seems an irrelevant point. You know, the building is not zoned, it does not have the exiting to do it. And they bought the building, I expect, knowing those things. And if they didn't, well, that's too bad. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I see, Molly, do you have something else that you want to say? But I just ask that you keep it brief.
I just want to say I'm obviously opposed. I see a lot of renters on the fire escapes out back. I'm not sure what number it is on Pine Street, but between Van Pelt and 22nd, these fire escapes are used for smoking mainly, because maybe the unit stipulates that they're not supposed to be smoking. So the fact that they're just fire escapes is not true.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other community members' hands up. So unless somebody else has anything to say, I think that we can move on to our next case. So thank you very much, Sam.
Thank you.
Okay, our next case is 1525 Chestnut Street, which is CMX 5. And the reason for the referral, and this is a referral, not a refusal, is for roof decks for non-residential uses in CMX 5 require a special exception. So the application for the erection of roof decks at the 8th and 10th floor to the previously approved addition under ZP-2022-5574 to an existing attached building, roof decks accessory to previously approved use of visitor accommodation, which I think Melanie can show us on the plans. And then just something that I forgot to talk about in the introduction, but there's basically, we get refusals and referrals, and a refusal, which is what we just saw, was the burden is on the applicant to demonstrate why the community should accept the change. And for a referral, the burden is on the community about why the community would not want to accept the change. So this is a little bit of the reverse of what we just saw, just as community members. So with that, I would like to give the screen to Melanie to take us through.
Yeah. Rebecca, this is Brett Feldman. I'm going to be handling this case.
Oh,
Melanie's
great.
been-
Sorry. I'm sorry. I just wrote down only one.
You'll have to settle with me. I'm sorry.
Oh,
So
for it.
let me just share my screen here. Members of the committee, good evening. My name is Brett Feldman. I represent the new property owner, DO Holdings, and its principal, David Walkney. I'm also here on behalf of Sonder, the hotel, I guess, national, international hotel operator. We have Christina and Greg from Sonder who will be speaking. to answer any of the operational questions about how the proposed roof decks would operate. We also have Michelle Klesnick, who is our project architect. So thank you so much for your time. I wanted to just, I guess, go right to some of the primary information. This is the referral, as Rebecca was explaining, and then just this is a recent zoning permit. We obtained a zoning permit recently for 2 additional stories on top of the building, and for this to be used as a hotel visitor accommodations. So those approvals are all in place. The only item that we're seeking your review and approval tonight are for the proposed roof decks. I think most people know this building. Here's the property, CMX 5 on Chestnut between 16th and 15th Street. Let me just go to the picture here. This is the building. This is it's been empty forever. It seems like this is the old Pomerantz building here. I think it's been empty for at least 15 years. This was formerly the headquarters of the Pomerantz furniture company, and it's been empty for a number of years. There's been, if you've been following the blogs, I guess for 15 years, there's been proposal after proposal. First floor restaurants, hotels, apartments, and to use the roof for nightclubs, to use the roof for restaurants. So there's been a lot of different things that happened. And I've actually represented the prior owner. Ultimately, and unfortunately, none of those ever came to pass. So David's company recently purchased the property. David's company is out of Toronto. They have a lot of experience developing and operating and managing hotel properties. And based off his prior relationships with Sonder, was able to enter into an agreement with Sonder to operate this property, to spend the significant amount of money it takes to redevelop this property, and put in I think it's about 50 rooms into here, and all the systems, the elevators, all the life safety systems, and what we're seeking tonight is your support for 2 roof decks on the top of the building. And I'll just go through the pictures really quick here. I think we know the block. This is the rear. This might be the cleanest picture I've ever seen of this rear. I wish it looked like this all the time, but this is our building back here. This is important because this is one of the entrances to the Sonder facility. We'll have entrances both on Chestnut and on Randstead, but right now as it goes, the primary entrance will be on Randstead, which is important because there'll be some additional eyes and ears on this alleyway, which unfortunately is really become a mess the last couple of years. And here is some additional pictures of the rear. Here's the building. There was a structure built on there. Here's some of the views. I've been up there. The views are tremendous. And here's some of the aerials, giving you some context. Looking down on it, some additional pictures. Here's that roof. One of the primary features of it is this. I don't know the architectural term. Maybe Michelle, you can help me. But there's this big overhang at the top here that provides a significant setback from where the roof decks would be located. And here's some additional views. Building has been challenging to redevelop. It's very narrow and it's very deep, so it's been always a challenge to have the right number of windows. And we've been working on that closely to make sure that that's possible. So here is the floor plan. This is for the roof deck. There's 2 roof decks. This is the roof deck at the 8th floor. This roof deck is in the front, and here's that overhang. But it's right here in the front. It's a small roof deck in the front, and we'll get into all the the limitations on who can be up there. But it is very limited who can be up there. It is guests that have a code. There's cameras up there. There'll be no speakers. There'll be no music. There'll be no food service. There'll be no beverage service. But this is the roof deck at the 8th floor, and then there's an additional roof deck that's atop the 10th floor, Here's the floor plan for the 10th floor that you see right here. And it's probably better, you know, when you get to the, we'll get to the renderings. I think this gives you a good sense of what we're looking to do here. That's that roof deck atop the 8th floor. This is the additional 2 stories that we worked closely with the Historic Commission. It's been a challenge to make this project happen. We have to have a certain number of units for financing and for Saunders purposes. So Historic worked with us closely, not just on the roof decks, but obviously on this structure to make sure that it met all of Historic's requirements. And then here's the second roof deck atop that 10th floor. You can't see these from I think any you know, from Chestnut Street or from I would say 16th or any of the other sites. That was important for Historic. And then here is the renderings. I'll just go closely on that. Here's that front roof deck. It's rather small, accessed by the elevator. And here's that 10th floor roof deck. It's kind of set back. It's kind of baffled with the other rooftop structures, elevator overruns that we have on this building. And again, I'll turn it over to, let me turn it over to David. Do you want to just introduce yourself briefly as the new owner? David Walkney, and if you can just unmute yourself, I think, introduce yourself to Center City residents, and then we'll turn it over to Sandra. I just wanted you to say a couple words about, you know, kind of your vision for the project and your background.
Good evening, everybody. My name is David Walkney. I actually live in Montreal. You know, we're really excited to get this property going. It's right next to the brand new W Hotel, Ritz-Carlton, and Elements Hotel. I've had a long history with Saunders, selling them furniture in the past. And, you know, when we first looked at the building, it was, you know, very problematic for the owners before us. And as I heard from Brett, the owners before them, and the building has always been in a really great location. Even, you know, on the left-hand side is the renowned Liberty Building, which is, you know, has a mall inside and everything. We're right across H&M, stuck to Five Guys. On the other side, we have, you know, Uniqlo and a lot of really well-known retailers. And just about a half a block away, we start hitting the hotels where there's the Elements, the W, and the Ritz-Carlton, and Ritz-Carlton residents. For us, you know, we strongly believed in Saunders and their ability to make something very nice with something that's really well supervised. One thing that Brett forgot to mention, but the roof deck will be closed starting from 10 p.m., which is something which, you know, to be able to ensure that it's good for all the neighbors around. It's not a place to have parties or music or you know, club style vibe. It's really just to hang out and to look at the beautiful views of the city. We were very fortunate enough that as we were buying this property, we were very fortunate enough as we were buying this property to discuss doing this hotel with Saunders. If Saunders was not going to come on board and do this property with us, we would not be a buyer. This is our first property in the United States. We've done at least 5-6 hotels in Canada, all the way to about, you know, 150 rooms. This is a smaller boutique hotel. What we like about it is that it's going to be a new kind of technology where there is supervision, where there is cleaning and everything, but really kind of giving it a much more affordable price compared to the hotels that are around, with a very clean and sleek look, as you can see from the outside design, but as well as the interior designs. What's amazing for us is that we were able to get this far and get the extensions for the 2 floors, which, you know, we got approved very quickly on a staff level because of how long it took to kind of get something going with this building. You know, like Brett said, it's been 15 years or what. The issue right now is that, you know, in the lease that we have with Saunders, they calculated their model on a RevPAR model. So basically, you know, how much they could pay per night to be more competitive than, you know, the competition around and give a superior product due to having lower staff. You know, we're fully sprinklered in the building. You know, we're gonna work with a lot of all the exits. You know, do something very nice and clean, but we are going to have basically a little bit of an issue with the Sonder lease if we're not able to get the roof decks, because this was part of their RevPAR calculation model. So Saunders, by the way, just for you guys to know, started in Montreal, Canada. It was a young gentleman that actually was going to McGill University and then was able to, from there, you know, create kind of like an Airbnb concept. So it's not 100% a hotel. It's kind of like in between an Airbnb and a hotel. The amazing thing about Saunders is that now it's a publicly traded company, you know, which kind of gives it a lot of strength and credibility with, you know, longevity and the type of, you know, superior quality that they have to be able to get to that level.
Yeah. David, I'm just gonna, if it's okay, I wanted to just make sure we have some time. We have the Sonder Senior Operations Manager for Philadelphia, and I was just gonna go to her and have her talk a little bit about how Sonder would operate the property facility, if that's okay.
No problem. Sorry for being.
Absolutely.
Let's just ask, I just ask that you keep it pretty brief.
Yeah. I think David's so excited about this project, and so am I. It's just been so long, but we actually have the folks who are going to be operating this directly. So, Christina, can you unmute yourself and just you really are going to be the face day to day for this facility, and I wanted to make sure that you introduce yourself to the community. Just give a little overview of how the property will operate and the roof deck, with, you know, all the caveats we talked about, and how that roof deck will operate, because that's ultimately what this is about tonight, is just the roof deck. So Christina.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, David and Brett, and thanks for the committee for having us here today. My name is Christina Disek. I'm the Senior Operations Manager here in Philadelphia for Sonder. And I'm also actually part of the community. I live only a few blocks away from this building, so I'm very familiar with this area and this block. I do want to just touch base really quickly on one of the things that David said about this being a really critical part of our project and space. The common areas that we have here in Sonder are really important to our guests, but I just wanted to give the group a little bit of a background about the privacy, the security, and how important that is for us at Sonder. So the way that our business model works is kind of what what Brett was explaining was, even before our guests get that unique code that he was discussing, every one of our guests, after they book their unit, need to go through a very special facial recognition through the app that will actually verify them. It's almost like a virtual front desk where we compare their ID and make sure that the individual that's booking with us first is secure to even receive their codes. Once they receive their codes, each guest will be given a very unique specific code that will be sent to them through the app. Through there, they'll have access to the building, to their unit, and then also to this rooftop area potentially. And that will be based on the time frame of their booking. So it will only be active during certain times. And once their booking is over, those codes will no longer be active. Additionally to what David was mentioning, we do plan on having specific hours to this. Sonder has very strict policies. We are no smoking buildings at all of our properties, no parties, no noise, and we really do everything in our power to make sure that we're upholding those policies, not only for our community, but also for each guest that comes through the building. Is really important to us.
Yeah. So Christina, there'll be there's no food service up there. There's no beverage service up there. There's no music. There's no live music. This is simply an amenity for your guests to do some work or enjoy, beautiful view right in downtown, correct?
That's correct.
Got it. Got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we should, sorry. Go ahead, Brett, if you have.
No. We have our architect here. We have other people from Sonder. We wanted to make sure we had everyone, but I think at this point, we'd open up to any questions or any clarification that the committee might have.
Yeah, I think maybe I'll start with the committee and I'll just go one by one so that we can keep it quick. So basic, Ben W.
Yeah, thanks. Great presentation, guys. Great use of the building. Very difficult to make it work under, I know for a boutique hotel, under a couple hundred rooms. And I understand your model and I understand the rules and regulations. My question is, how is it the rule breakers? How do you enforce that when someone is out there, when they're not supposed to be, when they tape a door latch, when they circumvent all the technology that you have? Who handles that? How is it handled? That's my main concern.
I know who's
Brett, do you
answering
mind
that
if I
question.
jump in?
Yes, Christine, that's why you're here.
Thanks, Brett. Yes, so we will have myself, and we also work with a local security team, a third party called Elite. They're going to be doing tours of this area. So we have quite a few properties that are in this area as well that have security full overnight. I also have a 24/7 leadership team that is on in the area that will be doing frequent tours of this specific building. And then during the daytime, we have hospitality agents that are there on site to handle any kind of guest need, any kind of guest complaints, and also work side by side with our housekeeping team. So we'll have quite a bit of staff on throughout the day and available 24/7, not only through the app, but also in person.
Great, but more directly at 10 p.m. when people are supposed to clear off the roof deck, how is that handled?
So how that would be handled would be in a number of different ways. Either a security officer that was doing their tour would do tours of each rooftop to verify that they're vacated. We also have a camera service on the rooftop where we will be able to tap in wirelessly through an app on our cell phones to verify that there's no one on there. But more specifically, with the unique PIN code that we have on there, I can see every single individual that has entered and exited the rooftop as well as any other door. So I have the ability to not only see them on camera, but also pinpoint exactly the individual's code that was used to access it. Does that help better explain there?
Yes, but there is no night manager, no one specifically at that property other than during the daytime.
There is a 24/7 supervisor in the area. They work right over there at Center City. It's right on our Witherspoon property, which on the corner of Broad and South Juniper. So just maybe a block or two away. They're currently positioned in that building, but as our team grows and this building potentially goes live with this rooftop, we can have them circulate more often. But to have a 24/7 person there on property has at this time not been discussed, but we can absolutely do tours of that space regularly throughout the evening.
Great, thank you. I think that answers my question, and I apologize to the Montreal folks for their soccer team. Unfortunately, at least somebody in Philadelphia was hoping that they won last week.
All right, thank you. All right, let's move on to Robin.
No questions. Thank you.
Thanks. Doug.
No question.
Ben Z.
Yeah, just one clarification. Did you say that the primary entrance was going to be on Randstead Street? Did I understand that correctly?
There's two entrances. There'll be one on Chestnut. There'll be one on Randstead. David, at this point right now, the primary entrance will be on Randstead, correct?
So there's going to be a larger lobby on Randstead.
Yeah.
But there is going to be that access code that Christina spoke about directly from Chestnut to be able to enter.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be able to enter from Chestnut Street, go to the rear, and then get to the elevator. But there, as David said, there'll also be a lobby back on Randstead Street.
So if people are unloading luggage or loading luggage to get in and out, did they do that on Randstead or Chestnut or where?
David, I think that's Randstead, correct?
Yeah, that's Randstad, but they can do it on both. I mean, if they want to go quicker with a car, probably Randstad, but if they're okay to just walk a little bit, they can go through Chestnut.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Bob Lane,
No questions, thank you.
Flora,
I have no questions.
Charles,
I just have two questions for Brett. My
Charles.
first question is, what is the square footage of the 8th floor deck? What's the square footage of the 10th floor deck? And the second question for Brett would be, I know you said no outdoor music. As an attorney, can you have a proviso that carves out the 4th floor? Or if you said no amusement permit, does that entail the entire property?
Yeah, so let me go to first. I believe the first floor, the 8th floor deck is about 1,600 square feet. I think it's the building's what, 20, it's about 20 feet wide. It's probably a little bit less, 19 up there. Michelle, are you out there? Is that, I think that's about right.
Yeah, hi, Brett. Yeah, so the lower deck is about 570 square feet, and the upper deck is just the center portion. Hold on, let me do the math.
And Charles, as far as your question about the music, I mean, we're certainly working with your committee on the provisos to no live music. However, we can work together on that. But this is not in any way intended to have live music or amplified music up there or anything like that.
Well, Brett, I think that this concept is unique, and we can talk about it in closed session. But my question to you, not to hamper you at all.
Oh no, I understand.
I just question to you: I don't want to make a no amusement permit for the property. Can you carve something out for the 4th floor? Can you
You mean for the 8th floor?
Can you give us some language that would be comfortable for the committee, that there wouldn't be any live music as a proviso? That would be my question to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, what would it be?
Oh. I mean, it would be no live music atop the 2 roof decks, 8th and 10th.
And no amplified music?
Sure.
And no food or beverage service?
Correct.
And yeah, the upper deck is about 1,200 square feet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you. Stephen,
No questions, thank you.
Andre,
Question, has the historical commission approved the roof deck specifically?
Michelle, the roof decks were on those plans, correct? That we had historic?
Yeah, so the historical commission has basically approved them in concept.
Yeah.
And we have to take them back and show like what kind of railings we put on the sides and just like make sure they look it over before we get final approval.
Yeah. So yes, subject to, these railings here, we're trying to spend a lot of time on, how high they are and if they're clear, but yes, we spent a lot of time. What made David mention this? What made this his purchase almost impossible here was the work with historic that we had to do on this to get this to a unit count that got us out of kind of the box that the last owner had been in with just not enough units to make this work. Thank you.
thank you. All right. Wade, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Great, thanks. And Veronica?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for such an interesting presentation. Just to build on Andre's question, am I correct in understanding that the railings that you will have on the roof decks will be so high that an individual could not accidentally or could not go over the railing, that they will be that high that an individual and items cannot go over the railing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit this, and Michelle, I know we talked about this on a couple of our calls. The parapet wall here is pretty high, right? On this portion in the front here.
Yeah, so they're shown at the 42 inches for the solid piece, and then there's going to be a guard above that. And that's what we have to discuss with the historical commission as to what that looks like. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
ideally it would be above shoulder height, so you can't throw things over it.
Thank you. No further questions.
Great, thanks. I'd just like to open it up to the neighbors, if there's anybody that has questions. I don't think I see any.
We have a zoning board hearing on December 21st. So if there's anything that comes up, we're around for a while. The board's so backed up right now, but yeah.
Well, thank you, Brett. This was a very thorough presentation.
No, thank you so much. We really hope that this is the project that gets this building done, and this building helps chart a new course for this block. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Be well.
All right, excellent. And then the next item on the agenda is, I think what most people are probably here for, 233 South 24th Street. The hearing date is on the 15th of November, and this is for the this is a refusal for the proposed sit-down restaurant, which is prohibited in the zoning district. I will like to call on, I have both William and Jared listed as the attorneys on this. I would just like to ask one of you to give us a quick presentation. I know that we've all heard this case before, and then we would open up quickly to the committee, followed by the.
Sure. Thank you. And good evening, everybody. My name is Jared Klein. I'm with Blank Rome, and I am representing the owners of Ambrosia Restaurant. Rebecca, just to clarify, Mr. Mafucci is representing a group of neighbors. So I'm sure he'll have some things to say, but I'm the only attorney for the applicant.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay.
Sure. As you asked, I know you've already had a full agenda and there's a case after me, so I'll be as brief as possible. But I know that a lot of folks on this call are here to talk about this application. As you all know, we're here for 233 South 24th Street. It's on the corner of 24th and Locust. The application was to expand Ambrosia's current restaurant into this space to both enlarge the indoor dining room and provide some additional outdoor seating in a rear courtyard. For those of you who may be unfamiliar, this is the location here, the existing Ambrosia Restaurant. 233 South 24th is here, and the surrounding apartment buildings and residential homes you're all familiar with. The zoning of this lot is interesting as it pertains to this application. Though the site is zoned RM1, as are these properties here on Locust Street, the remainder of the block of 24th Street is commercial, and across the street is ICMX. So although we are in an RM1 zone lot, and that's what's generating the refusal, the uses around the property are not necessarily residential, and we think that's important for the committee to understand. Just to orient everybody, this is the property that we're talking about here. Those are the outdated zoning posters you see on the site now. We have new ones up there. This is the existing streetery on Locust Street. And again, another view of the existing entrance to Ambrosia, and the 233 South 24th will be up there. The concept is very, very simple. There's the existing structure here, an open courtyard in the back. And the idea is to have a connection made between these two properties, seating in the open yard. With regard to the open yard, what we have in mind there is a limited number of tables. We had in mind maybe 6 4-top tables. The hours back there would be limited so that the last seating would be so that people would be out of there by about 9:30, 10 o'clock on weekends and earlier on weekdays. a limited number of seating back there, and it would only be during appropriately seasonal hours. We're not looking to put heat tents or lamps or anything out there and make it full year round. This is a rendering of what the inside of the space would look like. Again, we shared these at the last presentation, so I won't spend a great deal of time going over these renderings again, just so people can see that there has been some thought into the layout. One new photo I wanted to share. This is the rear courtyard area that we're going to be talking about. It is a small area. I thought it would be helpful. This is taken from one of the adjacent buildings as an aerial shot, just so that people could see really what was back there. And so this was a photo for some of that context. So with that said, I wanted to just spend just a minute or two talking about some of the conversations and thoughts that we've had, because we know from our last conversation there were a lot of people in the neighborhood who felt passionately about Ambrosia, both supportive of what the restaurant is and people who love going there, and some people who live near it and had some concerns. We met, my clients and I had a conversation with the immediate near neighbors, and we did try to make some accommodations. You're going to hear from them tonight, but we are not able to come up with a concept for the rear courtyard that would appease those that are most directly impacted. And you'll hear about some of that tonight. My clients gave real thought to this. We understand that having outdoor seating in that rear courtyard space is imposing on those who are immediately next to it. But we also understand that there are a lot of...
You could try to keep it to something that's changed since the last time we met. That would be really
Well, yes, and this is more context and more information about the outdoor seating than when we had when we were last here. And this is really the last thing that I'll be talking about before I open it up. So we have given thought to the outside. When we were here before, we didn't have a concept of a limit of tables or hours. And I was just trying to convey to the committee that we are open to creative and outside the box thinking on ways we can make that outdoor space work. It's very important to Ambrosia to have that rear outdoor space. We think it is an amenity for this style of restaurant. I think we've seen many restaurants around the city that have courtyards that are surrounded by residential. We think it's something that offers an additional seating option for people who might not necessarily be inclined to have indoor dining as we come out of the pandemic. And so although 6 4-top tables does not seem like a large amount of tables, it's something that is important to Ambrosia. And I thought it was important to contextualize that for everybody here. The last comment I'll make before we open it up, we are aware that the streetery there has generated some concern from nearby neighbors. One of the things that we are willing to do as a proviso to any position CCRA may take is to agree that we won't expand outdoor seating on 24th Street or Locust Street beyond what is there now. So we won't be applying for additional sidewalk cafe licensure or additional streeteries. And I think that really covers what's new since we've been here last. And my clients, unlike last time, are on the line tonight. So if there are questions for them as the operators, they'd be happy to address those as well.
Great. Thank you, Jared. So I'd like to just quickly bring this up, just go through the committee members. Ben W., do you have any questions? All right, I'll come back to you. Robin, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Doug?
I'm concerned because I know the neighbors don't like the outdoor space for the eat. I guess you call it the eatery out on Locust Street. So you're asking for more and more space for that, but I'm concerned that the neighbors would not appreciate any of this, especially the neighbors on the back side of that little space. That's all.
Thanks, Doug. I think that you're probably correct in that. Ben Z.
Yeah, two things. I was by there recently and it looks like there is construction going on in the building that you want to expand into. Is that happening and what's that all about?
I do not have any information specifically about construction inside. If Freddie or Georgie are here and can comment on that, that would be appreciated. And Freddie, I think you're on mute. I see you trying to talk. You're on mute.
Everyone should be able to unmute themselves.
Okay, it looks like he's having trouble with the unmute. I'm happy to get some additional information for the committee on that, and I will follow up after the meeting if my clients are not able to.
All right.
Unmute.
Two other questions.
Sure.
Is there anything new in this proposal as compared to when you've been before us twice before?
So we were only there once before. We were listed a second time, but we didn't attend. There is nothing new in terms of the design. There's been additional thought given to the operation, and we did have a private meeting with the near neighbors, the most immediate near neighbors, to talk about some of these issues. That's what we've done since we were here last.
Right. And my last question: what is the legal hardship that you will suffer if you don't get this?
Well, I think that the legal hardship is that this property is already directly across to the restaurant use. So you've got the challenge of selling a single family house that's next to an operating restaurant or using it for single family purposes. And I think the length of time that this property sat on the market before my clients were able to purchase it, and they purchased it as a result of a short sale because the prior owner could not sell it for the value of their mortgage, that creates the hardship to the use of the lot as a residential use.
So you couldn't sell it to someone new to come in, but you want the existing neighbors who are already there to put up with it. Is that what you're saying?
I certainly wouldn't phrase it that way. I think we certainly understand.
I'm sure you wouldn't, but what's the difference?
Well, we certainly understand that there is going to be impact on those that are immediately there. I think that there is, in an urban environment, a balance between the interests of private property owners and businesses, all of whom have to coexist in a dense area. So we're not unaware that there's going to be an impact there, but we also don't want to see a vehement stance of not in my backyard take away the expansion of a small business that is really appreciated by many, many, many people in the immediate surrounding area.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Bob.
Jared, your logic would mean that the next house should fall, then the next house, the next house, the next house, and take over the whole neighborhood. So I just want to understand your logic. I'm not arguing with you, but that property is what it is, and
so
we haven't heard. Really, to Ben's question, what is different? What is unique? What is the hardship that's unique to this property that's not unique to the next domino and the next domino?
Well, there's I think two answers to that. The first is that there is an alley that separates the 233 South 24th property from the one that is next to it on 24th Street. So there is a gap. It's not a continuous row of connected homes. So there is a line of demarcation, so to speak, between the one and the next. The other is this property was, and whether it's false logic or not false logic, it was on the market as a single family home for a long time. And the people who owned it had a mortgage that they couldn't pay because they couldn't sell it as a single family house. So there is clearly, to me, that tells me there's something about the property that wasn't attractive for its zoned purpose.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, Flora.
I have no questions.
Charles.
Jared, I'll be brief. What I've heard, I'll go over exactly what I heard from the first time, is that you're trying to alleviate impact to the neighbors, not changing the design. So what I heard differently, and maybe you can elaborate, is you would suggest a proviso of eliminating the hours to 10 p.m. and earlier on the weekdays. And then something I've never heard before, provisos of my understanding of months of operation for something akin to Memorial Day to Labor Day. I didn't quite understand what you're trying to bring across.
Sure. So what I was trying to convey, obviously inartfully, was that the intention is not to have this be a 365-day space for the rear. It's to be seasonal. So yes, what you're saying, say Memorial Day to Labor Day, there'd be tables out there, but they're not intending to put heat lamps or tents or anything else that would operate it in November, December, January. That's not what the intent is.
Is that what you're proposing? Memorial Day to Labor Day and then hours of restrictions?
I don't. So hours of restrictions, yes, it would be no later than 9 o'clock back there on weeknights and 10 o'clock on weekends. I would say that in terms of months, I wasn't defining it as precisely as Memorial Day to Labor Day, only because we've had some days in the last couple of weeks that would have been nice for courtyard dining, but we're past that day. So I might call it, April to October. And the other thing, Charles, that was different is we're willing to say we won't expand the currently existing outdoor seating on 24th or Locust as it currently exists now. The other thing, Charles, just to go to what was different, we're very willing to do additional items in that back to try and mitigate noise. We thought of things like additional rows of planters or a glass wall or something of that ilk. None of those ideas we came up with were thought to be of much impact for those near neighbors, but we are thinking about that.
Okay, thank you.
Stephen?
Jared, are you able to tell us about how many seats the existing restaurant has, both inside and in the streetery? And then how many are going to be added in 233 inside, as well as the proposed amount in the yard?
Stephen, that's an excellent question. I'm going to hope my clients are able to unmute to answer that, because that one I really don't know their current seating capacity. Freddie, are you able to unmute your phone?
Yeah. I don't know. You hear me now?
Or Georgie?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. I can answer the
Okay.
question.
Yes. All right, everybody. This is George. He's one of the owners of the restaurant. George, if you could answer that about the seating capacity.
So right now, at the moment, the restaurant has 42 seats indoors, and outside they have 36. We are looking at the yard, on the backyard, to sit 20 to 22 people. Inside, another 40 seats on the first floor and 25 people on the second floor.
All right, so there's 42 people who would be added seasonally, potentially, in the backyard, is what you're saying?
On a backyard will be 20 to 22 people.
20 to 22, okay.
This is seasonable. First time, nobody can sit on the winter. Only if we do something like cover and everything. So.
And how many tables are in the current streetery, the structure that's on Locust Street?
That's 7 cabin by 4.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Evan, do you have anything?
Yes. Hi, Jared. You said one of the only things changed since the last meeting was a meeting with the near neighbors. What was the
Evan, can you speak up a little bit?
Yeah, I'm having a little trouble hearing you, Evan.
Can you hear me at all, or am I just muffled?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you
Okay. You said, Jared, that since the last meeting, one of the only changes has been that you met with the immediate neighbors. What was the result of that meeting?
The result of that meeting was just an open conversation. There wasn't any compromise or agreement that came out of that. I know that the near neighbors have their own counsel, so I'm not going to speak for him. But it was an open, polite dialogue. We were glad that they engaged with us, but we were not able to come up with any concept for the backyard that they found acceptable.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Andre, do you have any questions?
Yeah, does Ambrosia currently operate under a variance?
I do not believe they currently have a variance. It is a pre-existing non-conforming use that goes back to the prior use of this site as a restaurant before the area was remapped.
So the new unit will only border a like a unit that is currently used for residential use on one side?
So the new structure will border a property that's zoned commercial on one side, but it backs up to property zoned residential.
Okay, thank you.
Wade,
No questions.
Veronica?
No questions, thank you.
Great. Okay. And now, so that takes care of our whole committee. And now is when I would open it up to the public, but I think just because of the nature of this case, I would just like to have Wade, our attorney, to set some quick ground rules so that we can keep this expedited.
So thank you. So with regard to next steps, the community is going to have an opportunity to provide comments and ask questions. I am aware that a number of the community members are represented by counsel. I know Mr. Mafucci, and I think that there is another attorney who's involved, whoever that is. We're going to be asking for you to go next. As part of that process, if you would please explain before you begin who specifically you are representing. We are going to be asking you for the attorneys to make the presentation on behalf of your clients. And as part of that presentation, you're invited to show slides. We have already said that that was permitted. And we would ask that for your clients that the clients should not be showing slides. It should all be channeled through the attorneys. And then after that presentation, then we will open it up to other members of the community who are not represented by counsel to provide comments and ask questions as we would do with any other project.
And thanks, Wade. And the only additional comment that I'm going to make is I know that there are some people on the line who are in favor. And so I just ask that we give them the opportunity to make some comments too, because they might be at the end of the queue, but they're out there.
Absolutely, and that's totally fair. And just because I know that there are a lot of people who are on right now, and a lot of people want to say something. Because we don't want to be here all night, I would say that just please be respectful of everybody's time. If for folks in the community who want to have their voices heard, and we certainly want to give you an opportunity to have your voice heard. If somebody has said something before that you agree with, or you're repeating a comment, whether it's in opposition or in favor, you always are invited to say and we would hope that you say I agree with so and so, or my position is X, Y, and Z, which has already been stated, and I second that. It would make this night go much easier if we went through that process. So thank you. And with that, I guess I'll turn it over to counsel for the neighbors.
Wade, I just want to read a note from the chat. This is Veronica Aplenc, Rebecca's co-chair. Mr. Mafucci has noted in the chat that he is having technical difficulties, and so Terry Scott will read his remarks. Mr. Mafucci, we need you to drop in the chat which of your clients will show the slides. We need one name, please.
And if Terry wants to begin, Megan Rabb. Okay, it looks like Megan Rabb is here. If you want to begin, Megan, on behalf of your group, that would be great.
Hi, this is Terry. Is it all right if I read my counsel statement?
Sure.
and then go into the presentation.
And whoever wants to share the slides for this group.
Megan will share the slides.
Can I just ask one very, very quick clarifying question? Is what Terry's about to read Bill's statement or his own statement?
This will be Bill Mafucci's statement.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Frisch and committee members. I represent several of the objecting neighbors. They have been joined by about 24 others whose names likewise appear on the petition in opposition that we have previously submitted. I believe that at least some of those additional objectors have already logged in or will log in tonight. We have 2 categorical objections, one of which is general and the other categorical. The general objection, Ambrosia's restaurant activities in its existing location has already caused numerous serious problems about which current management has been cavalier and completely unresponsive to residents' complaints. And any expansion of the restaurant would exacerbate those problems and further diminish the residential and historical atmosphere of the neighborhood. The specific objection, Ambrosia's management has insisted that if the variance is granted, it will introduce an open-air dining in the small enclosed rear interior open space. The courtyard of 233 South 24th Street, which shares with 4 small adjoining lots, and would immediately and completely destroy the residential atmosphere and ambient beauty of that courtyard space, which constitutes literally half the footprint of the 4 other residential lots that it share. I have asked 3 of my clients to speak to you tonight. I'll identify them in a moment, but first let me to address another participant of a different sort. Let's call it the elephant who is not in the room. The elephant's name is hardship, what the applicant must establish clearly and irrefutably before it can obtain the variance it seeks. A demonstration that using the property at issue, 233 South 24th Street, consistent with its current zoning, RM1, residential multifamily, represents an undue hardship on the applicant. There's no mystery why hardship isn't here. The suggestion that 233 South 24th Street cannot be as a residence is simply absurd. It's been used precisely, continuously, and exclusively as a residence for many decades. Some of the most recent residents of it might even be participating in the Zoom meeting tonight. Indeed, even in the past few months, even after the applicant started this process, the property was marked for sale as a residence. We've spoken with the realtor who confirmed that there was plenty of interest among purchasers who was interested in the property for that use. The fact that an applicant must show substantial hardship to be entitled to variance is elemental, of course. And I know you don't need me to expound upon it here, but it mustn't go unmentioned. Too much is at stake for the residents of this beautiful and historic corner of Center City. The neighbors you will now hear from in this order are Megan, Rob, Claire Welty, and Jill Weber. We'll be hearing from Megan. Megan and her husband, Terry Scott, own the property on Locust Street that adjoins the existing Ambrosia lot. The northern half of the footprint of their lot comprises their 3-story townhouse. The southern half is their portion of small open-air courtyard, a quiet, exquisite space that they cherish, that they use constantly, and that is integral to their residential experience. The courtyard is small. Megan and Terry share that courtyard with just 4 other lots. The lot at 2320 Locust, owned by Claire Welty. The lot at 2318 Locust, owned by another one of my clients, Axel Zielinski, and the lot at 2316 Locust. And of course, the lot that is at issue today, 233 South 24th Street. Having a visual of the configuration of the courtyard and its relevant relationship to the 5 lots at issue is important. So I've prepared this diagram for you. I won't be able to show the diagram, unfortunately, but Megan might have something similar. And then I will turn the floor to Megan. Thank you.
Is it okay if I talk now?
Yes, please. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. And I can share my screen. That's okay to just show the slides that Mr. Mafucci mentioned. Okay, thank you. Let me just Let me just get this on here. One moment, sorry. Okay. Sorry about this. Just laying out a portion of the screen to share. Sorry. Okay, here we go. All right, sorry about that. My name is Megan Robb. I am a resident, the owner of 2322 Locust Street. I live here with my husband, Terry, who just read out our counsel, Mr. Mafuchi's statement. First, I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. Terry and I are part of a group of 24 neighbors who oppose the expansion of Ambrosia to the residential lot immediately adjacent to it. Before I start, I do just want to note again that the mailers that Ambrosia's lawyers sent out to neighbors included an incorrect Zoom link for this meeting. They also shared an incorrect Zoom link last time when only a few neighbors received mailers. So we were able to quickly spread the link among the people that we know of that are interested in this, but there are it's possible that there are people who want to object that haven't been able to join the call.
I'm just going to try to remind us all that we really want to keep on track about
Megan,
zoning.
Yeah, I really need to respond to that. We sent the mailing out before CCRA confirmed the link for this meeting, so we utilized the web link that was on their website. When we realized it was incorrect, my clients hand-delivered updated flyers to every name on the PCPC list over the weekend. Thank you.
Oh, goodness. Well, we did not receive those. So to talk more about the expansion, particularly outdoor dining in the courtyard space at the rear of the property, would destroy the residential character that attracted us to our home, that we cherish and we hope to enjoy forever. We are very proud and happy to have a house in the Rittenhouse-Fittler Residential Historic District. So this is not just an R1 location, it's a part of the historic district of Rittenhouse-Fittler Square. Their proposed courtyard dining would make it impossible for us to use, let alone enjoy, half of the ground floor space of our small property. So we prepared a few things to help you understand the immediacy of the impact. And thank you for allowing me to share my lawyer's slides. So the first here is a diagram that depicts, as from above, the configuration of our home, 2322 Locust Street, and then the existing restaurant, Ambrosia, 231 South 24th Street. The residential lot here is 233 South 24th Street, the home that's been purchased and Ambrosia would like to use as part of expand as part of its restaurant. And then there's the streetery as well, that's along the street that's been constructed along the Locust Street side of this building. So our lot, as you can see, adjoins the Locust Street side of the existing Ambrosia restaurant and also overlooks, the streetery as well. The streetery extends all the way up to the boundary with our lot here, and I'll talk more about the streetery in just a moment. The rear of the 233 lot opens into the courtyard that adjoins the rear of our lot. Our segment of the outdoor space, like Claire's and Axel's that are next to ours, occupies more than half of the ground floor space of our lot. So the footprint of our house is 11 by 18 feet, and the footprint of our backyard is 11 by 20 feet. So it's larger than half of our ground floor space. So as you can see, the courtyard space is not limited to 233. It's a little hard to see here, but this entire area is a shared internal space, extending from 233 to the west through the rear of that lot, through Claire, Welty, and Axel's lots, to this final property, 2318 in Locust. There are dividers between the houses in these lots in this courtyard, but they only rise 5.5 to 6 feet, depending on where you stand in our yard. The courtyard itself rises up, like back here, this wall, rises up to about a full 2 stories, maybe 22 feet. So every segment of this internal courtyard back here shares light, air, and general atmosphere with all of the others. The courtyard is a vertically enclosed space then. So sound generated within that courtyard reverberates throughout it. The 4 lot owners sharing segments of it, we can all hear each other really well. I can hear neighbors, talking in in their yards. I can smell, cigarette or cigar smoke if someone's out there having a smoke just around 30 feet away. So the design of the shared courtyard back here works well, and in fact is part of the charm and appeal of this little collection of homes, despite the fact that each owner can hear the others more than they would if they didn't share 2 stories of airspace. It works only because all 4 lots are used only as residences. Conducting commercial activities in this courtyard segment of 233 South 24th Street, which would involve people talking loudly, the constant clink and clink of cutlery and glasses, as we know really well from our experience with the streetery. All of these activities that are inevitable in restaurant dining would generate noise and clamor that would instantly and irreparably destroy that atmosphere we've managed to retain despite that significant outdoor expansion of ambrosia on 24th Street. Aside from the garden, or this yard, the footprint of the rest of our property is very small. It's less than 250 square feet per floor. Right now, only the 2 of us occupy it, and we use every bit of indoor space on each floor. All this means that we use the outdoor courtyard space back here regularly to work and to socialize. I'm a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. I research and write at home every day of the week, including in the backyard and at the window directly overlooking the backyard, and also the backyard of 233 South 24th Street. We use our yard to relax, grill food in the evening. It's a haven for us, essential to our comfort and well-being as homeowners. We have submitted a video before this meeting to give you a sense of the immediacy of the courtyard space. Can I ask permission to show it again here? It's just about 20 seconds long. Okay, well, I'll just show it quickly. Thank you, sorry. You can just get a sense here of us walking in our house.
Okay, I don't know that this, I think we should skip ahead to issues that are a little bit more relevant. Oh, you're going.
Okay, thank you. Now, oh, sorry, excuse me. So finally, we prepared some photographs and video footage that show how the existing ambrosia operations based at that corner lot already impact our lives. I mean, this is important because one pillar of our objection is our concern about the courtyard space. A second pillar of our objection is that we've had negative experiences that we have reason to expect would be exacerbated by an expansion into our backyard. So we've prepared some photographs to show this. So although the main or official interest of the restaurant is on the corner, there's a rear entrance on Locust Street within a few feet of our front door that's been increasingly used during the past 2 years. And so now that's being used as the main door. Despite our
we have a lot of people after you, Megan, that are trying to talk. So if you could just quickly flip through the slides, that would be excellent. This is a lot of time for neighbor.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Okay, so patrons often
very clear.
I'm sorry, I just didn't hear that.
I think your point is really well said here. So if you could just flip.
Okay, sure.
You clearly made your point, and you're only weakening it.
And I'm also, I have to object to some of this because if we're cherry picking.
Excuse me, I am co-chair and I'm going to step in. This is Rebecca's first meeting, and forgive me, Rebecca, if I'm stepping on your toes. One thing that we value about this particular format is the professionalism with which everyone participates. Megan, I understand that you want to present, and we do want to hear all voices. If we can just be focused and efficient, maybe stating each point once, I think that will help us move forward. And Rebecca, thank you for your, what would be the word here, forbearance. As your co-chair, I have perhaps stepped on your toes. Megan, if perhaps you can just move through your presentation and highlighting new points that you want us to hear.
Absolutely. I'm very sorry. I had mentioned each of the points that I'm about to talk about in the previous meeting. So I can show you pictures of patrons loitering loudly at the entrance to our home. That has been getting worse. So that is a new point. And also, One new thing. So I mentioned each of the things that I was going to talk about in the last meeting, so I won't repeat those points.
Megan, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You've got several other neighbors who
Oh,
want to
I'm sorry.
speak.
Okay, then I'm very happy to stop then. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. So Megan, as I understand it, you're presenting the slides that were prepared by your attorney. It seems to me appropriate that since we exceptionally agreed for you to show your slides, if you show all of your slides. If you just run through them, and I think that if you have new points to make those, but just move through the slides quickly. Because we did say that you could exceptionally show them on behalf of your attorney.
Sure. Here's one slide. Here's one slide. Booth's not secured. Here's another slide of a patron vomiting on our stoop. And here's a slide of the booth being constructed in front of our front door. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Megan. I just wanted to make sure we got to see all of the photos. And I think that we're all just getting a little tired here and a little cranky because we have heard this case before. Is there any other attorney that was meant to present tonight on behalf of the neighbors?
I was supposed to be next in line with the attorney. Bill Mafucci is my attorney as well. This is Jill Weber speaking, and I was supposed to go next after Megan.
Okay, sorry. I think I just need to clarify Wade's point. The idea was if there's an attorney that he was to represent those neighbors, and then the neighbors were not necessarily going to speak. But if you have something new that is unique that you want to say.
I do. I do. And I want to apologize to everyone because of the 3-time delay. I'm now on Market Street. I have an event that I could not postpone. But if you'll permit me, I have about a 3-minute spiel here. Okay?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So my name is Jill Weber. I live at 2319, 2321 Locust. So like Megan and Terry and Claire and Axel, I am negatively impacted by the operations at Ambrosia. In essence, I cannot open my windows at night or in the day because of idling trucks and very loud people. I was going to talk to you about all of the actual things that all the rules and regulations that Ambrosia has broken with their streetery. For instance, being within 8 feet, and now it's in fact 30 feet of a crosswalk, putting their furniture in a crosswalk, putting patrons abutting a crosswalk, putting propane tanks in the street, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm actually more concerned about the fire safety regulations that they have violated, certainly within the last several months. So in fact, if you look, because this is public knowledge, there are several, and I sent out slides to this effect earlier to the committee that I hope you've had a chance to see. There are on record violations of the fire suppression systems, for instance, within the kitchen. And fire suppression systems, it's the ANSEL system. It's something that all restaurants need. I happen to own 4 restaurants in Philadelphia. I'm intimately familiar with these rules and regulations, and I follow them to the T. Attempt to anyway. It's very difficult sometimes, but fire is serious, and these are buildings that are connected to other buildings. A fire at Ambrosia, a fire in Megan's home, a fire in Claire's home would of course impact everybody incredibly negatively. So they have a violation. They have not had their ANSEL system inspected, maintained, certified. This was a violation found in August. It's still not fixed. The other evening, there were fire trucks called to the residence because of heavy smoke and gas coming out of the residence. It turned out they were self-cleaning their hoods. These have to be cleaned every 3 to 6 months to avoid fire. But the fact that they had so much smoke coming out of their system, according to my commercial cleaners, means they had not touched those, and there was so much grease causing the smoke and a fire hazard. One of the really challenging things to accept as a neighbor on Locust Street is that the position and placement of their streetery within, I don't know, 5-6 feet of the crosswalk means that the fire truck that came out to deal with this event was unable to turn onto Locust Street. I live on Locust Street with my husband and 2 cats and 3 kids, and that's very, very, very worrisome to me. So I think, you know, if we're talking about infractions, I could give you a billion and we could talk all day, but I'm going to focus on the most secure, extreme, which are the fire safety. And they just, and I want to point out that not only do we have these fire suppression issues, but despite the fact that they were denied the commercial use of 233 South 24th Street property, it has been in use since August. There is a propane cage with propane tanks, extra propane tanks against the door, cardboard boxes and other trash in the middle of the yard. We have photos to that effect, and I'm happy to share. I did share them with you, and I'm sure we can share more. So I will limit my comments to that, but I am extremely concerned about fire safety as a resident of that block and knowing other people on this block, and it's the city. So that is my main issue. Thank you very much. Can I point out one other thing? I'm sorry. The property at 233. I was in contact with the owners. They had multiple offers. It did not sell because the price was too high for the people who decided it needed outdoor stucco work. Not that it was not a suitable residence. They had to put more money into fixing the stucco on the exterior as opposed to thinking it was not a suitable place to live. And Kia, the former owner, is happy to write a letter to that effect.
Okay, thank you for sticking to new points. Okay, I think that is there another attorney that was meant to present on behalf of the on behalf of the neighbors? And if not, I think then if there are, I see 3 people that have been raising their hand for quite some time, and I think that maybe they were not represented by an attorney. Sorry, I don't know your name. This is George Cohn. Or if you want to just have a quick comment, and I just encourage you to keep it to something new or unique.
We'll keep it quick.
Matter.
Thank you for hearing the opposite side. We all live in, sorry, I'm Nina Stanley, one of the owners at 249 South 24th Street. There are 9 residences in our community that one of them, Susan Fisher, who's also on the call, directly butts up to the new proposed restaurant, and she has no complaints. We've all signed a petition pro the expansion for Ambrosia. It's done amazing things for our neighborhood. One of them being there's people on the streets and it makes us feel more safe. In reaction to one of the comments that was just made about somebody vomiting, we live in the city. I had a homeless person sleeping on my stoop the other day, and that it's just what happens.
Lived on Delancey,
right? So yeah, we lived on Delancey, and I had somebody extremate on my front stairs. So it's not, George does a fantastic job of keeping everything quiet and under control. They have amazing food and they're a pleasure to work with.
Okay,
Great.
and your name, did you get the name and the address?
Nina Stanley.
She's Unit B. My name is Nicole Melchiori. It's MELCHIORRE, and I'm Unit H. If you're looking at the homes, there's 4 in the front. I'm one in the back, but as Nina stated, in the cleaning and trash and things, the other concerns that have been brought up, there's no construction that I'm aware of that's been happening. I believe that was raised as a concern. I walk by it every day with the dog, with the kids, running errands. And any complaints we've ever had, George has been very accommodating. And I guess further to, I appreciate what Meg and Rob, or if that's her last name, Megan was saying about noise concerns, but I do believe she and her husband, or whomever she lives there with, her partner, bought the home and it was always a restaurant there. So while the expansion is new, the restaurant and the outdoor eateries, I will give you that, are new, but I think they've done a nice job. And to further support what Nina's saying, we love having positive energy around here. There is always a homeless issue. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do about that. So I think it does deter it a little bit. There's one other point I had that escaping me. But at the end of the day, the noise is, I will share that we do share a concern with the noise, but George has come up with a few different solutions or things he's willing to work with us. And I think that's very polite. Unfortunately, I do think we live in, not unfortunately, we live in the city because we like the people, the noise. I have Penn students that live behind me that like to party until midnight on Tuesday nights at exams. And then I wake up to red Solo cups in the morning. So not that I want to push aside your concerns. I think they're very valid, but that's just my 2 cents. So I'll move on. We could go on for days.
All right. Yes. Let's try to stick to new topics.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Susan, did you want to speak or do you feel like you have been spoken for?
Sorry, I had to unmute. I'll just very briefly, because I was referenced, I'm Susan Fisher. I live at 249 South 24th Unit A. So I am the unit they referred to as being directly next door to the little walkway between the new property and our home. We are street front, and my husband and I, feel very comfortable with the expansion. We're very supportive of it. The pros to us outweigh any of the cons. And as was already stated, we agree with the fact that it brings life to the neighborhood. It makes me feel more comfortable coming home at night because there is an outdoor presence. And George and Fred have both been, very respectful, and it makes us feel good seeing them on the corner. And so we are very much in support.
Thank you. So just so that everyone can be heard, if anybody else, any of the other neighbors want to speak and want to just drop it in the chat, I think that might be best at this point in the conversation, unless anybody has any brand new points that they want to bring up. It might be best just to drop it in the chat.
Can I just say something for 60 seconds? I listen to all my wonderful neighbors wax on about how this is some sort of, the notion that this is some kind of nuisance bar or something like that. This is an amenity. The University of Pennsylvania, this is new, I think, which is the largest private police force in the nation, came up with a study in the mid-90s that no matter if you have all kinds of lights and this and that, doesn't deter crime. What deters crime is people on the streets. And I would caution those that are trying to, put a stranglehold on a guy who runs a great business and the food is good. We look at it as an amenity. Is it pain-free? Absolutely not. But what I would tell you is the facts are there. And University of Pennsylvania did all the hard work. They went, the first guy through the wall gets bloody, and which they did. So we want the people on the street. We want George to continue. We're in favor of this project. And I think it brings, I think any of the issues that my neighbors have, George would be happy to meet with you and you could work it out. We want to be neighborly. We don't want to have this venomous hate towards each other. All right, good. Thanks.
Thank you. So are there any
Rebecca,
other?
there is one more hand up, Rebecca, from Claire Welty that I see.
I see one hand up. Yep, Claire.
So,
Do you have any
yeah, so Bill wanted me to talk after Jill and Megan. I'm at 2320 and 2318 Locust. I'm an academic as well. I use the property to read and write in, and the noise wafts up from the street to my 3rd floor writing. And I use the back courtyard to read and write, and having, in the nice weather, noise out there till 9 or 10 o'clock at night is exactly when I'd be working out there. And so it would be impacting my privacy, the solitude, and I've owned the property since 1989. I'm a longtime resident, and it would destroy the property value to have that noise in the back. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I have just one more. Matthew has put in the chat. There is his hand.
I just want to say one thing real quickly. I don't think anybody is wanting the restaurant to fail. I think the guy who spoke just recently alluded to trying to destroy the restaurant in some way. And what I want to point out is that no one wants Ambrosia to fail. What they don't want is Ambrosia to expand into this residential historic house. I think that they can do well where they are, and they should do well. They do have great food. All of that is true. And that's what it's about. It's not about trying to destroy Ambrosia. It's about not expanding. That's it.
Thank you. Good point. Next case.
Thank you. So then I guess I just want to encourage anybody that has any other points to put it in the chat, and we have one more case tonight.
Thank you all very much for your extensive time considering this. We appreciate it.
Very much appreciate it, and I do appreciate all the new points. Our last case, we have one more case. I'm sure a lot of people are going to drop off, and I apologize for the last person. Is 233 South 24th Street. This is, I'm so sorry, that's what we just did. 261 South 24th Street. The reason for the refusal is the application for use as a visitor accommodations. If you would like to go ahead and take the floor, the applicant, that would be great, and we will keep this brief.
Thank you very much. We'll be brief. My name is Bob Burke. This is my wife, Jessica. We're the owners of 261 South 24th Street. And we're here because we're asking for your consideration of our petition. We need a variance to be able to use our property as a short-term rental when I'm not living there. And the very brief story is that I work at the University of Pennsylvania as a physician and a researcher. COVID was hard on everybody. We decided it was in the best interest of our family to move back to Colorado. And I use that property as a part of my agreement with Penn when I come back for work every other week. And so on those off weeks, we've been using it as a short-term rental. During the time that we've owned the property, the city has instituted a law where if you're using your property as a short-term rental, you have to have a visitor accommodation license, which we've applied for, but we've been denied because of the zoning at our particular property. We've had a good experience so far using this setup. Because it's owner occupied every other week, I've been able to sort of keep the property up, anticipate problems. I live there too, and so I take a lot of pride in the property. We get very good reviews from our tenants who stay with us, many of whom come from the neighborhood. There's not a clear hotel nearby, and so if you have family visiting or something like that, we've had people use our property for that. And maybe I'll stop there. Do you have anything you want to add, Jim?
We can speak to sort of the reason behind the variance from or our understanding from the representative who introduced it. I don't know that we need to spend time on that, but we could speak to the history of that if necessary. As Bob said, we're super hosts, we're experienced, we have neighbor experience. We've been doing this for more or less a year. This isn't a new thing we're trying to do. We're just trying to stay in compliance and keep up with the city as they're trying to manage short-term, as they should manage short-term rentals.
I think that's it from us.
Great, thank you. Very straightforward. I'll go through the committee. Ben W., do you have any questions?
No.
Robin?
No questions, thank you.
Thanks. Doug?
No. No questions.
Thank you. Ben Z?
Yeah, just a quick one. How often or how frequently do you anticipate that this would be rented out to, I guess, relatively short-term users?
Go ahead.
So I would say currently regularly. I mean, it's rented out. If Bob is there during the week, twice a month, most of the weekends are rented, and then we don't have one night overnights, but I guess 18 nights of a month might be an average guesstimate of what we do.
Okay. Have you received any complaints from anybody in the neighborhood about any of the people renting?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Bob?
My observation is that what you're asking to do makes sense for you, but when you move on, if the zoning board gives you a variance to allow accommodation, your property could turn into a hotel or rooming house or a lot of other uses, because whatever approval you get will run with the land. So I don't know what kind of provisos might work, because you want 18 nights out of a month. That's a lot. So if you were like going to have just a very limited right because of your particular situation, that might make sense. But again, when you're not there, if this becomes a rooming house, it might not be the same thing to the neighbors. What are your thoughts about that?
That's a good point. The property has been used as a long-term rental before we bought it for decades. And so I think your point about having renters in there is a good one. I think we're open to provisos that would be tied to us or tied to the current use of the property. I recognize that this is kind of a unique set of circumstances compared to many properties like this.
The only thing I can think to add, Bob, because I do take your point too. The only thing I can think to add, because we met at length with this Mark Squilla, who's the representative who introduced this legislation, and I'm fully on board with this concept. The intent is to avoid layers between homeowner and guest where there's no communication, and to have a clear set of accountability for short-term use and to retain character of a neighborhood. Mark, at least what he was able to articulate was he was in favor of this concept being granted as variances to people in general because of the all of the reasons we can think of that Airbnbs are nice for neighbors. But I actually do take your point that it is 200 years from now, what then? I think that's a fair point.
Okay, thank you, Flora.
I have no questions.
Charles?
Bob stated my exact concerns. Short-term rental variances run with the land.
If there was a way to introduce some kind of proviso that had that not happen, is that?
I don't know the answer to that. I think the other thing I might say is that the reason we think of it as even more valuable than a long-term rental or boarding house, something like that, is that, I live in it when I'm working there. And so instead of being an absentee sort of person, like we might envision, I'm able to be involved there. And I
As a homeowner,
as
not
a
just a
homeowner,
renter,
that's right.
yeah.
So would you agree to a proviso that when you no longer do that, then that approval goes?
Yes, I'm not a lawyer, unfortunately. I don't know how that works, but yes, we're just interested in our own, just for this particular circumstance, obviously.
Thank you. Stephen?
No questions.
I think Evan dropped off. Andre?
Questions, thank you.
Wade?
No questions.
Veronica?
Yes, thank you. I did have one question. So just to understand, one of you lives part-time in Colorado and part-time here, and the second one of you lives full-time in Colorado or full-time here?
Yeah.
It's a good question, and it's actually the technicality onto why we have to apply for a variance, because our primary residence is in Colorado, where Bob lives many days of the month, and I live with our children, and then he commutes for work and stays at our property in Philadelphia when he's working during the week. And then in order to help us manage all of that, we rent it as a short-term rental when he's not there.
Thank you. And so for clarification, Bob, you generally come to Philadelphia once or twice a month?
Yeah, my requirement that I negotiated with Penn was twice a month.
For any specific set of time?
For the indefinite future, as long as I'm employed in this kind of setup, that's the agreement.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Are there any members of the community? Sorry, that's it for the committee. Are there any members of the neighborhood? Oh, sorry, Ben, did you want to say something else?
You know, I don't mean to sound like a wise guy, but have you considered selling the property and using some of those proceeds for your housing when you come back twice a month?
It's a great point. And I think if this doesn't work out, that's what we'll probably have to end up doing. It doesn't make sense for us to, pay for a place I'm only in twice a month. I hate to do that, but we could, and have me stay in hotels, that kind of thing. I think that'd be unfortunate for us and a real change, because this change to, requiring this license happened during the time we bought the property, owned the property, rather than us, buying it for the specific purpose.
And also and it's not a response to your question, but I would just say nothing about our using it as a short-term rental in any way has affected sort of the outside of the property, the character of the neighborhood. Nothing is changed or different. You would not walk by our property and think anything other than that's a home that matches all the other homes. And I would also note that on all sides are renters around us who we've spoken to and who are in favor. We have one neighbor who's an owner and who rents the 3 units below him as well. So just to note that it's in keeping with the current existing experience around us. So as absentee owners, what happens if there's a plumbing issue or an electrical issue and you're all in Colorado? Yeah, we actually keep someone on call. We pay a monthly fee to have a 24-hour on-call plumber for that exact. I mean, we actually also have these kind of cool fancy water sensors that are Wi-Fi. So hopefully we know before anyone else would tell us, but we keep a plumber on call for that reason. Great, thank you.
Great, thanks. Are there any neighbors that would like to speak about this case or have any questions for the owners?
I'd love to speak up real quick. Sorry, I can't find where to raise my hand. Theo Aronson here, 2419 Spruce Street. If I can weigh in real quick, I just want to thank the Burks for chiming in. I understand your situation and appreciate it. I don't mean to be insensitive, but I think Bob Lane makes a great point, and I am in opposition of this because it sets a precedent. And the reality is we are here in a historic residential neighborhood intentionally trying to avoid some of the busyness at times of the city or the transience of a hotel. And I think there is an element overlooked here, whether it's trash contribution or just this, if I can be so frank, being a transient side hustle. This isn't contributing to the community or Philadelphia in general in any way. I respect that you guys want to have a residence here, but I would think Penn could support a studio apartment, which would suffice, versus having to live somewhere where you're also making it a revenue stream for yourselves. So I'm in opposition of it just in general with Airbnb and any kind of short-term rental in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Can I just add one point, not just to say that in terms of keeping with the neighborhood, we have a historic property and most of our guests choose it and experience the historic nature of the neighborhood because we're in favor of that too.
Great, thank you. I think that is all for today, unless there's anybody else from the neighborhood that would like to speak. At this time, we usually have the neighborhood sign off of the Zoom and now meet in a closed session amongst just the committee members. So I just ask you to sign off unless you are part of the CCRA zoning committee. Thank you so much for waiting around for that last one and for everybody's time tonight.
And I think it's time to terminate the recording.